Okay, so we're going to look at the water. All right, so the water is, if you squint your eyes, it's quite strong in colour. There's lots of these shadows and things going on down here as well. But you still got some lighter tones in there, slightly desaturated pinks, well, blues in that sense, purples, but we're going to use pink. So we will be using a bit of the black, but again, lots more colour. So don't forget the magenta and the blue. The white and the black to desaturate. Okay. But we are going lighter. You're always going lighter here. So adding a little bit of magenta there. And keep watching how that colour just changes each time. It's very important not to add too much black because you don't want it too grey. You still want a predominantly strong colour that's going to really push forward. We've used a lot of the greys already in the previous sessions, and that sort of acts as kind of the ground, or the formulative kind of effects of the ground and the kind of positioning of where things are. But we need to start getting that colour in now. Once you've got your colour, I'll suggest swap with a flathead brush. I'm using a small one, but we're just going to see it looks like on the horizon like that. Come across. And it's reasonably light, that up there. It's solid. Going to a distance like that. The reason I've added the pink and I've dulled it is because as things go into the distance, depends. I mean, I say we've got a very sharp horizon line because it's a very strong light source, but generally, in many ways, things get cooler as you go into the distance. And that's the same with the water. So if you see the water, it's reasonably light, so it's a lightish pink I've created here. But I've added just the right amount of black to push it back and not have it dominate over the, for example, the pink I did for the sky or even the clouds. It's just going to work well with it as a kind of a supporting colour in a way, and then really come up to that line for the sea level there. And that colour can come down here a little bit as well. Notice I'm being quite straight here with my lines, because the water has to, it's ripply, but it's reasonably horizontal. A lot of those ripples coming straight across, and maybe some slightly diagonals. We come down closer to the shore there. I'll go a bit higher, because that horizon line, that little grey line, needs to be very thin coming across there. And this works slightly like a reflection of the light of the sun, which has gone down, but it's obviously over here. This is the peak of the light source. Yeah, so just come across with the flathead brush. Probably take less paint as you come over here because it's a slightly duller colour. But you still got that colour fading off to the distance there. Okay, so squint your eyes. It's the same colour all the way across. Go over that a little bit higher. does nearly disappear. And try and keep it straight as possible. I'll probably revise this later on, make it even straighter. But just look at that sort of grey on the water on the horizon, just above where that rock is, and you're kind of duplicating that tone. And when you've got that colour, keep it the same as that colour. So don't try and mix in. I've mixed enough here that will keep me going for a bit. And it's like a sort of a lighter but a dull pink. So I've added a bit of the blue, mostly magenta, white, and a little bit of black. And that's the colour I'm going to use. And that's going to come probably down here a little bit more as well. Again. And notice as we come probably to about this point, the lines start becoming slightly more diagonal. But they're still solid. And again, that's going to come over there. And notice these colours are working well with the original ground colours we put in. And it's very important to get those little gaps in between the lines as well. When you see those lines, those ripples, those background colours, those blues and those purples we added originally act as those ripples, as that contrast. So you don't have to keep adding more darker colours for each ripple. I think we can use that. And this colour we can use quite far down. I think we'll substitute some of those greens down here for this. Now, I'm just using a slightly different technique coming down here, combining with the original dragging technique, scumbling. This one, some of the lines are coming, because you start seeing the ripples of the water coming in a bit more there. And what I will do, I'll just keep this colour alive a bit longer over here. This area. Now notice everything's relating a little bit more to that original pink, because we've pinked everything up a lot more now. There's not as many purples flying about, and the blue is very subdued there. That's perfect, what we need. I'm scumbling across there. Scumbling again over those areas which are a bit darker. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is we're coming a bit lower. Notice what I said earlier about how things get warmer as they come closer to us and cooler in the background. So what we're going to do, we're going to warm this up, and these greeny kind of colours and these kind of cooler blues on the shore here, we're actually going to make even more pink. So we have more white, more pink, nothing else. Again, we are slightly getting away from the colours of the original photo. So pour myself some more magenta, and then yeah, just keep adding more magenta, more white, until you've got a tone shade lighter. Don't drastically add bundles of magenta or white, because you don't want to have to keep erasing, going backwards and forwards. If you do, it's not the end of the world. I think it makes a painting interesting if you had a couple of mistakes and you have to edit those mistakes, and then those edit marks become interesting. That's sometimes how I learn. Okay, so you notice that again. So slightly warmer, maybe even warmer than some of the colours on the clouds. So it's relating, it's a bit more parallel now, it's relating to those colours up there. Probably not as light or creamy, it's a little bit more intense, but this is what we need, because those colours on the green there, of the green, is more intense. So we're going to go back to the original flathead brush. Let's use a bigger brush to mix. Use a palette knife if you have one. But we're going back into this more intense purple, and then we're going to get some of these light tones down here. Scumble as you mix into that previous colour, so that slightly darker colour we just applied, scumble over that, so that's going to mix nicely with that, and then lower down you're going to apply a bit thicker, and then you can see that tone change. And then as you see, you've got a bit of a variation of going on, where you've got these cooler pinks in there, and then you've got these slightly more intense pinks, so they're getting more intense and more intense and more intense as they come down. We're just going to do this on the water, I think, and the sand is going to be, again, we're going to make it a bit more dull. It's not bright. If you squint your eyes, the sand, because it's closest to us, doesn't mean it's bright or warm. Because of the natural colour of the sand, it's more dull in the photo and natural in the composition. The light is coming from over here. A lot of the light is in the clouds and the ripples of the water.